Any headway? Is he cracking this guy at all?
I don't think he's cracking the sky. I don't think he's making any headway. I think he's going to have to wait to put on his own defense during the defense's case in chief.
Got it. Okay, let's listen. Let's go back to court.
Your conclusion as to him finding Mr. Jackson not breathing being about 12 o'clock, that's not from his statement to the police, is it?
I know the 12:12, the 12:20 and 12:26 is all the statement. The 12 o'clock is not in my statement. I did not, when I made my report, I did not know the exact time patient arrested.
And now have you found out?
I hear from this testimony that they're estimating it around 12 o'clock.
And where did you hear that in testimony?
I heard it from, again, I heard it from the telephone. Apparently there was a telephone call or something like that, and they're estimating it's around there.
So am I correct in assuming you're using more than Dr. Murray's statement to the police for your opinion?
I'm only using, when I made my report, and as far as my testimony, I only made that report that there was a delay in calling 911 based on Dr. Murray did not immediately call 911, and then there was a specific delay. I'm just using that bit of information. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that there's at least a 12-minute. It could have been less or more. But that's the only thing I'm using to estimate that. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Actually, I should answer, I don't know. You're right, I don't know.
When you read Dr. Murray's statement,
yes, sir,
he gave a lot of time estimations, didn't he, to the police?
Yes, he did.
And he indicated that he wasn't sure of the exact time, but they kind of just tried to piece it together.
He should have documented the exact times or had someone be documenting. This way we would know.
Well, when he gave his statement to the police, there was a lot of time estimations that he specifically said are not precise.
Yes, sir.
And he estimated that Michael Jackson got home about 1 o'clock. Correct?
Yes, sir. He said that.
And that he took a 10 milligram Valium shortly after that and took a shower?
Yes, sir.
And he came to bed about 1:30?
Yes, sir.
That he was having trouble sleeping?
Yes, sir.
And it was right around 2 o'clock he gave 2 milligrams of lorazepam.
Okay.
You recall
yes, sir.
that? Now, based upon your knowledge, what would 2 milligrams of lorazepam do to a patient?
I'm not an expert in lorazepam, sir.
Okay, have you ever used lorazepam?
I've given it orally a few times, but I've never given it IV.
What do you give it for?
I give it for sometimes before an MRI. Patient may be very nervous, so we give it to them before an MRI orally, maybe an hour before.
So you give it as a sedative?
Yes, sir.
And you give it an hour?
Mild sedation.
Mild sedation.
Yeah.
And why you give it an hour before?
Because that's approximately when it starts to work. It starts to start.
So it'll probably reach its peak about maybe between an hour and 2 hours later?
I'm not unaware of the exact number, but I think you're correct.
Okay. Now, if you give it by IV, you don't have to wait the hour, do you?
Never given it by IV.
I'm going to sustain the objection. 801.
Are you aware of the difference between giving it orally versus by giving it IV?
Yeah. Yes, IV would act quicker.
How much quicker?
Not sure. I actually think I looked it up for my report, and I think it was 40 minutes.
40 minutes by IV for it to take effect?
You probably know. I don't know.
Well,
for sure.
The question is to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
No.
If you know from your own experience, fine.
I don't know from my experience, but I wrote down in my report 40 minutes.
Okay. Now, do you know anything about the blood level that would be obtained if you gave that 2 milligrams by IV at 2 o'clock?
Objection beyond his area of expertise.
Sustain 350, 352, 801.
Is this beyond your expertise?
Absolutely.
Okay. You also read that he gave 2 milligrams of midazolam somewhere around 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Would you happen to know what kind of effect that would have?
Yes, that would have probably a mild effect. Everyone is a little bit different. I do give midazolam because it's a short-acting benzodiazepine during conscious sedation. So 2 milligrams is a fairly good starting dose. Some patients will be asleep for an hour with it. Some patients, it won't touch them.
Okay, and you also saw that Mr. Jackson gave another 2 milligrams or Dr. Murray gave another 2 milligrams at 4:30 of lorazepam?
I think it was 5 o'clock.
Or 5 o'clock? Okay. Now, as of 5 o'clock, do you think Mr. Jackson should be asleep?
Speculation.
Just a moment, please. Overruled. You may.
I don't know.
Okay, do you know what effect the 2 milligrams at 2, the 2 milligrams at 3, and then the 2 milligrams at 5 should have on Mr. Jackson?
The midazolam should be out of his system. I could comment on that by 5 o'clock. But the lorazepam, I cannot comment for sure.
How long do you think it'd take to get the lorazepam out of his system?
I understand the half-life I wrote down on my report is 10 to 20 hours.
Okay, so you would expect lorazepam still to be in his system.
Yes, sir.
And then you also saw where he gave him 2 milligrams of more midazolam at 7:30.
At 7:30 he gave midazolam? Yes, sir.
And what type of an effect did that have on Mr. Jackson?
If I remember, I don't remember exactly. I think it had very little effect.
Okay. Now, when Mr. Jackson then requested that he be given propofol sometime after 10 o'clock. You recall reading that?
Yes, sir.
And you recall Dr. Murray had a discussion with Mr. Jackson about propofol, didn't he?
I don't recall all the specifics.
Well, they had been discussing propofol basically for the last 3 nights, hadn't they?
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Murray had been telling Mr. Jackson that he wanted to get him off propofol. He had to sleep with something else other than propofol. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Jackson was saying it's the only thing that works, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Murray was saying, but regardless of how it works, you shouldn't, this is not good for you, correct?
I don't recall the specific. If that's what's written, I don't remember the specifics of the language.
But they've been having this conversation for the preceding 3 nights, hadn't they?
Okay.
I wouldn't know.
Pursuant to Conrad Murray's statement.
We asked the question, sustain the partial answer, stricken, disregarded. You may be fine.
This was in his statement to the police that night, wasn't it?
If I recall, he was trying to wean off the use of propofol, but that's the extent of my knowledge.
Okay.